And here, in my view, is what is true. MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution. Rights at stake from what we're talking about. But no amendment to the Constitution is absolute.
I think this, no amendment is absolute.
Some will say, okay, so are you arguing for throwing out the Constitution? Should the Constitution be thrown out? What do we do? Is it a living document? Or is it a sacred document?
It's certainly not sacred. All right, let's start there. The Constitution is kind of trash. Now, let's just talk as adults for a second.
What did you say? It's what?
It's kind of trash.
So I just want to jump in and bring it back to the point. For anyone who doesn't know what Enlightenment principles are, it's a philosophical movement that dominated in Europe during the 18th century, was centered around the idea that reason is the primary source of authority and legitimacy, and advocated such ideals as liberty, progress, tolerance, fraternity, constitutional government, and separations of church and state. Now, inherently, the problem with that is that when our Constitution was built on those founding principles, but was not built on those founding principles, including the humanization of marginalized folks. So you cannot cite our Constitution. Our Constitution should be burned because our Constitution in and of itself is only written for who owned land? Men at the time. It's still written accordingly. Who was owned? Black folks. Those.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today on behalf of every black family that has been robbed of a child, on behalf of every family member that has been forced to see their loved one lynched on national television, driving while black, jogging while black, sleeping while black. We have been criminalized for the very way we show up in the world. Under the harsh gaze of far too many, my black body is seen as a threat, always considered armed. Centuries of institutionalized oppression will not be undone overnight, for racism in America is as structural as the marble pillars of this very institution.
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution.
Is the time for the Electoral College passed?
Yes. Electoral College is racist and classist.
My goal is to get elected and then to be the last American president elected by the Electoral College.
I believe that it's time to have popular elections so people's vote decide who the president is rather than the Electoral College.
You want to abolish the Electoral College?
I think the Electoral College needs to go.
No matter what happens, everybody sticks with their team.
We're going to have to blow up the entire system. And you know what we're going to have to do?
No, I don't know.
You know what we're going to? Yes,
yeah.
What you're going to have to do?
You just got to vote.
Honestly, from what your closing argument is, you're going to have to get rid of the Electoral College.
But first off, how do we solve this problem of we win the election, but we don't get to be president?
Yeah.
Because this has happened twice now.
Yeah.
Since 2000. Al Gore and now Hillary. And it seems to be happening to one party.
Only us. Only Democrats.
Right. Which is, of course, the way they would want it.
Yeah.
You kind of can't blame them for that. But how do we fix that?
Well, I'm in the process now of writing an article that says there's a simple solution to it. We have to just abolish the Electoral College. It's not... MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution.
New tonight, Governor Steve Sisolak is banning all gatherings of 10 people or more in an emergency directive. First, you'll get a warning. Then you can face civil or criminal penalties.
But anyone who tries to resist these basic rules and tries to create a public gathering, for example, or tries to put together, a sports event or anything like that, the NYPD is going to immediately give them a summons. And these are hefty summonses. And we're going to be very uncompromising.
Now, I've directed Superintendent Brown to order all police districts to give special attention to these parties. And this is how it's going to be. We will shut you down, we will cite you, and if we need to, we will arrest you, and we will take you to jail. Period. There should be nothing unambiguous about that. Don't make us treat you like a criminal.
Huh. So you made that decision, and as I noted before, 15 congregants at a synagogue in New Jersey were arrested and charged for being in a synagogue together. Now, the Bill of Rights, as you well know, protects Americans' right, enshrines their right to practice their religion as they see fit and to congregate together, to assemble peacefully. By what authority did you nullify the Bill of Rights in issuing this order? How do you have the power to do that?
That's above my pay grade, Tucker. So I wasn't thinking of the Bill of Rights when we did this.
So tell me again, Joe Biden, who doesn't respect the Constitution?
MAGA Republicans do not respect the Constitution.
Because to me, it sounds like Democrats are the ones that don't respect the Constitution. As Democrats on the left have said everything from the Constitution is trash to the Constitution needs to be burned. They have said amendments to the Constitution are not absolute. They have called for abolishing parts of the Constitution they don't like, to just straight up ignoring the Constitution and going full-on petty dictator by banning gatherings, arresting people for attending church, censoring people, and calling to take their guns away, despite there being this document called the Bill of Rights.
Hell yes, we're going to take your AR-15, your AK-47.
To gun owners out there who say, well, a Biden administration means they're going to come for my guns.
Bingo. You're right if you have an assault weapon.
So spare me this crap that Republicans don't respect the Constitution, as Democrats on the left have made their animosity towards the Constitution quite clear. They do not like it. Hillary Clinton tweeted out back in 2019, quoting another Democrat representative named Barbara Jordan, saying, "If the impeachment provision in the Constitution of the United States will not reach the offenses charged here, then perhaps that 18th century Constitution should be abandoned to a 20th century paper shredder." And Hillary tweeted this out undoubtedly in response to the calls to impeach Donald Trump. So Democrats are not shy about wanting the Constitution, or as much of it as they can get away with, effectively abolished, burned, or in Hillary Clinton's case, shredded. As the Constitution is doing, well, what it's supposed to do. Prevent the government from infringing on your rights. I mean, sure, it's being strained and Democrats are ignoring it when and where they can, but it's still a huge hurdle for them to get over, even if Joe Biden claims we yield our rights to the government.
You've heard me say this before again and again, but I'm going to keep saying it. What's that idea? We don't derive our rights from the government. We possess them because we're born, period. And we yield them to a government.
So Democrats on the left are the ones that do not respect the Constitution. They want it gone, by their very words in some cases. This is why the leftist site, The New Republic, published an article complaining about the Republican majority in the Supreme Court with the title, "The Constitution is the Crisis," where in the article the author straight up says, the American left should work towards abolishing the Constitution someday, either for a new document or a new democratic order without a written Constitution. In other words, abolish the Constitution that is preventing Democrats from doing what they want and replace it with either a new document that will let Democrats do what they want, or just a new order that has Democrats in full control of everything. Because that's all they care about. Power. And this kind of idea is exactly why the Constitution and the Bill of Rights were created, to restrain government power. And the left just can't deal with that. So the next time you hear a Democrat say something as stupid as, "Republicans don't respect the Constitution," Republicans aren't perfect by any means, but they're not the party calling to abolish parts of, if not all of, the Constitution. Republicans aren't the ones saying our amendments aren't absolute. Republicans aren't saying,
the Constitution is kind of trash. The Constitution is kind of trash.